we talked about, talking about the 55% is just literally, the way you present
Body
yourself, the way
language.
you look, right,
Yep.
visually. But here's the deal. That doesn't guarantee, that's just 55% in terms of influence. It doesn't say 55% in terms of positive, right? Positive reception. That could be the determining factor to say no, right? So here's my question to you then. Do you think that it is always a positive to do some form of video if at all possible? Or do you think that you lose a little bit, maybe not enough, right? Pro con it, maybe not enough to offset the preparation, diligence maybe comes to mind of a well thought out and well crafted email versus a video where you're kind of maybe nervous because a lot of people don't like to be on camera. Maybe you aren't well put together. Maybe you just kind of are in your whatever, right? Just not dressed appropriately or not whatever. Like, I mean, that's kind of an obvious one.
Yeah.
But do you think that you lose a little bit, or maybe you're not, again, let's focus on the not being comfortable on camera one, that you're just not accustomed to doing it. And so I think a lot of people, that's the big thing. They kind of maybe understand the benefit of it, but they're like, I really just don't do good on camera. I don't communicate well because I'm not as skilled, or I haven't done it as much as what I've done just sending texts and emails and stuff like that. So it's just a level of comfort thing.
Yep. So this is going to be the practical section of the cover. Hopefully I'll give you more of them, but this is going to be very, very practical. So if you're listening, you're like, okay, what does this look like in practice? Here's some very practical recommendations. That was a fantastic question. First, video is not appropriate for every single message.
Yes.
Right. There's something like, I don't need you to hide the fact that you're still good for 4 o'clock today behind an 8-second video,
Yeah, it's kind of a
for example, right? So you don't need it for everything. You
Right.
don't want to use it all the time either. Let's say you're building a relationship with a prospective customer. You use a video in your first 1 or 2 or 3 touches to kind of put a face with the name so that when they get the voicemail or they see the email, it's not just this faceless email signature. They're like, oh, that's that dude that sent me that video on LinkedIn, or the dude that sent me that video and email yesterday, right? So you but you don't send 5 videos in a row. So you do have to pick your spots. You do want to mix it up. And like I said before, this doesn't replace everything. This is just part of the mix. So you're going to do some phone calls. You're going to do some Zoom calls. When we can, again, we'll get together in person over coffee or lunch or across the conference room table or whatever the case may be. We're going to have some email exchanges, depending on the nature of the business and how intimate we get. Maybe we're texting each other, right? Because that's more of a friends and family zone than a just general business zone. But some people cross over into there. So you need to pick your spots. It's part of the mix, not everything. And you hit on the most important thing. People who hear a conversation like this and they hear you and the success you've had with it say, okay, I'm going to go do this. And then they, whether they're using BombBomb or something else, there are a lot more players in the space than there were even 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. It validates the concept and starts to normalize and create some best practices, and more people can learn and teach each other. But you're going to get in front of the camera and you're going to hit record and you're going to say something like, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I'm not sure if I said that the right way, and all these other things. A couple things here. One, and you already said it, it's all about practice. If you say, gosh, I am better in person. If you say, my sales process drives to a face-to-face meeting, whether that is, again, by a Zoom or a Microsoft Teams or however you're getting face-to-face digitally, in synchronous, in real time, right?
Yeah.
Like Thursday at 1 o'clock, we're going to get together and I'm going to ask you some questions and we're going to talk about this thing, right? Because you express some interest in my product or service or whatever. If you're driving to a face-to-face meeting, I do not think it can ever be really a negative unless you're totally unprepared. And, I can see an exercise bike from 1978 behind you, as well as a basket of dirty laundry. Like, that's obviously not a good look, right? But assuming we set all those things on the side, if you're driving to a face-to-face meeting and someone is going to make judgments about you based on your voice, which is an octave higher than maybe it seems like it should be, or the way you wear your hair, or your penchant for a certain type of clothing that they're not going to resonate with, or they want to make any judgments about you based on the way you look and sound, I would so much rather have that happen in the first 3 touches than 2 weeks later after we've gone back and forth and I've invested time and energy and they're going to make those same superficial judgments. So last thing here, practice is the key. This is not unlike anything else you want to be good at. If you are blogging now, if you've been writing a blog and it's been successful for you, it helps you organize your thoughts and generate traffic to your website. You've got some good calls to action there and it's productive for you. If you started that 2 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, your first foray into that format probably wasn't great. Just like when you picked up a book of Spanish, you couldn't just speak Spanish right away. Just like when you watched that Warren Miller film, you didn't go out and shoot down a triple black diamond like expertly. Like all of these things, anything you want to be basically good at, whether it's in business or in your personal life, whether it's a hobby or an activity or anything else, requires a little bit of practice. This is the same thing. Some of the skills you already have are transferable. You are going to have to develop some new skills. And my last recommendation here is the best way to get comfortable is to start within your own close network, whether that's family and friends or family and friends, former coworkers, former classmates, people you know and who know you. And you're reaching out with simple messages like thank you or good job or congratulations.
All right, did you like that clip? Remember, that's not the full interview. And you can watch the rest of that discussion right above my head. You can click right on the screen. Go ahead and start that now. But before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. See you inside.